So you want to go to the Olympics in the sport of biathlon. In this video, I'm going to break down everything that is required for you to get on the start line at the Olympics. But first, I want to give a special thank you to everyone who subscribed and liked our most recent videos. Ethan and I have started a podcast. If you haven't checked it out, if you're a fan of World Cup Biathlon and you want to follow along with us as we break down what's going on every week, go check out the podcast playlist that I'm linking down below. Ethan and I are very appreciative of everyone who's subscribed to the channel, who's liked the podcast videos. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we can get some more biathlon podcasts out for you. But the most common reactions that I get when people find out that I coach biathlon is number one, have you ever shot anyone? No, that is stupid. Number two, wow, I saw biathlon in the Olympics, that is so cool. And this draw to the Olympics every 4 years has also created a lot of attention and a lot of desire to want to participate and try to qualify for the Olympics every 4 years. So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do I qualify for the Olympics? How can I get myself on the start line in Sochi, Pyeongchang, and now Beijing in 2022? So follow this video and I'll tell you how you can get on the start line of the Olympics. All right, the first and most obvious requirement is your national quota. Every nation that is a national federation with the IBU has a national quota. Me, as an American, I have to be in the top 4 from my country. Now, other countries have different national quotas. Some nations might only have 3 or 2 start spots. So the first and most important thing is to know what your national quota is. If you come from a nation that is very popular or has a good team, it might be kind of hard to break into that top 4. But if you are from a nation that doesn't have a national team, or you don't even know what your national quota is, then I'm going to go over how you can get yourself to the Olympics right now. Okay, so I'm going to use myself as an example here. Even though I am a full red-blooded American, I do come from German and Irish descent. So let's use my German side. No, only joking. There's no way I can make the top 4 for Team Germany in biathlon. It's just not possible. So let's use my Irish side. Let's assume that I have Irish citizenship and I want to try to compete in the Olympics for Ireland. Well, first thing I have to do is make sure that my nation is a member federation of the IBU. Luckily, that is true for Ireland because they actually do have a biathlete who competes on the IBU Cup pretty regularly. But Ireland's only big enough for one Brian, and someone has to be booted off the team. Let's assume that Ireland is not already a member federation of the IBU. How do I become a member federation? Well, it's pretty simple. You need to reach out to the IBU, tell them you'd like to become a member of the member federation. Simple as that. Once you get the okay from the IBU, you need to register as an athlete, and then you may start attending IBU Cups and Open European Championships. Now we'll go more into these races a little bit later, but that's what you need to do first. Make sure that you can attend these races and get yourself to the Olympics. You can't just register for the Olympics. You can't just go on to Olympic.com, sign up for the Olympics like as if it's any old race. You need to go to a couple of qualifying races first, so that way you can actually qualify for the Olympics. Okay, so you're a member federation of the IBU now, you're registered as an athlete, you're on your way to the Olympics, right? Wrong. You still need to qualify, and you need to make it to specific races and actually meet a certain criteria. So first, let's talk about the races. Looking from the top down, you have the Olympics. Obviously, the Olympics are the top echelon of races. That's where everyone's trying to get, including you. Now, underneath the Olympics, you have the World Cup. Now, while the Olympics only happens every 4 years, the World Cup is a circuit that happens every weekend in the winter and happens every winter between the Olympic cycles. Now, underneath the World Cup, we have the IBU Cup. This is what I like to call the minor leagues of biathlon. You know, in baseball, you have the Major League Baseball, where you have your superstars, but say you're maybe not a superstar yet and you're not good enough to be in the big leagues, you have the minor leagues and you have to try to work your way up to the big leagues. So in biathlon, we have the IBU Cup. This is the race where you can go and you can try to earn the points needed to qualify for the World Cup and ultimately for for the Olympics. Now, we're not going to worry about the World Cup right now because you can qualify for the Olympics just by going to the IBU Cups. So let's focus on the IBU Cups. Okay, so at every IBU Cup, you earn what is called an IBU Cup point. Now, this is a little secret, and it's not something that the media really talks about too much because nobody really is concerned about it except for coaches and athletes. So you do have to do some digging, but after doing some digging, you can find that in every single race, whether it's a World Cup, an IBU Cup, or even a Junior World Championship, in these races, you earn what's known as an IBU point. And I'm gonna go over what a point is and how to earn points in just a moment. But to qualify for the Olympics, you need to earn a certain, or actually you need to earn under a certain amount of points in order to make it. So the first avenue for qualifying for the Olympics is you need to have under 180 points on average by January 16th of 2022. Now, they say on average. What happens if you only race one race and you get under a 180 threshold? Do you qualify for the Olympics? No, not yet. If you only have one race to your name, they're actually gonna multiply your score by 1.2. And the reason for this is, what if you just got super lucky and on that first race you had a really good race, but that's not a great representation of how many points you actually have? They're gonna add some points to your name because they want to make sure the best athletes are going. So the best way to make sure that your score is underneath that 180 threshold is if you can get under 180 in 3 races. If you can do 3 races and your average score is under 180, boom, you qualify for the Olympics. Congratulations. So what if you're kind of streaky? You have some good races, but your average is still over that 180. How can you qualify for the Olympics? Well, then you're gonna wanna look to avenue number 2. And avenue number 2 states that you need to have at least 2 races under 150. So this is good if, maybe you can get to 7, 8, 9, 10 races from now until that January 16th, 2022 cutoff. You can get to as many races as you can, but your average is still over that 180. But if you can get at least 2 races of those 10, 9, however many you attend, 2 races under 150, then you can qualify for the Olympics. Now you have to do these 2 races at either the IBU Cup, Open European Championships, or on the Junior Cup. But for some of us, we might be too old for the Junior Cup, so that's more for a junior. Now, in my personal opinion, as an athlete, you should strive for that 150 points in 2 races. So, what are IBU points? How are they calculated? How do you earn them? So, I'm just gonna list out the formula right here in a moment, and then we're gonna go over a real life example to see how points are calculated. IBU points are calculated by taking the athlete's time, so your time in the race, divided by the winner's time minus 1. Simple, right? No, it's not done yet. Times the race factor plus the race penalty. So this formula right here is how we determine your points, and these are the points that you're trying to win. Now this is where it gets kind of confusing. You earn IBU points in a sprint and in an individual and in a super sprint event, but you cannot earn IBU points in a pursuit, a mass start, or a relay event. So you gotta make sure you get to the right event. So you wanna focus on the sprint, the individuals, and the super sprints. So in a sprint race, the race factor is 800. In an individual, the race factor is 800. And then in the super sprint, there is no race factor because the times are so fast. Then you have the race penalty, and that's where even more math comes in. The race penalty is the sum of the 3 highest in the top 10 divided by 3.75. So as if this formula wasn't confusing enough, you now have to take the 3 fastest people in the top 10 and divide their points by 3.75.
All right, so let's go see a real life example of how to find the IBU Cup points and also give some perspective as to what it will take. So first we're gonna go to biathlonworld.com and we're gonna go up here to the data center. Once you open up the data center, let's go back to last year's IBU championships. So we're gonna go back to the 1920 season. I'm gonna go down to Minsk Rabici, where they had the Open European Championships. Now I'm gonna click on the sprint result, as that is one of the events that you can qualify and earn the points for. Now up here, I'm going to click on reports. And from here, I can see the IBU Qualifying Points tab. When you click on that tab, a new window will open. You can see all the points that were earned and from here you can see all the points that were earned in this race. Now remember, 2 points under 150 is our goal. So when you scroll down and you look for the points that were earned, 97th place earned 151 points. So basically, to earn your 150 points for this race, you needed to come in the top 96. So let's put that into some perspective. What does that mean? Well, let's go back over here to the schedule. We're going to click on the sprint again. X out of this tab. Don't forget that we're looking at 96th place. We're going to go back over to reports. We're going to go to competition analysis now. And we can open up the competition analysis to see how this person who came in 96th place actually did in their competition analysis open. We have to scroll down to 96th place. Okay, and here it is. Here's all the information that we need to know about this athlete from Kazakhstan. So this athlete shot 2-0, which means they had 80% shooting in the race, which isn't too bad. But the thing you really want to look at is course time, because we spend so much time in a biathlon race on the ski trails that course time is going to be really the factor that plays into whether or not you can qualify for the Olympics. So it took this person 24 minutes and 58 seconds to ski the 10K course. This doesn't include their penalties, and this doesn't include their shooting time, because the IBU does a good job of being able to isolate times and splits for different parts of the race. So this course time right here, the 24:58, is exactly what it took this athlete to ski the course. This doesn't include shooting time or penalties. So now, to put this into some perspective, if you take the 24:58 and divide it by 10K on the course, this comes back to being about 2:29.8 per K, or about 2 minutes and 30 seconds per K, which is pretty good skiing for this athlete who came so far back in the pack. So just to give some perspective, this is about how fast you need to be skiing just to be in consideration for the Olympics. And this doesn't include your shooting times or even your hit percentage. This is strictly just how fast you need to be skiing to be in the running for the points that are needed to qualify for the Olympics. So I went back to some previous year's IBU Cups and IBU Championships, and I was able to gather this chart on some average statistics needed in different parts of a biathlon race in order to earn those 150 points.
Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on the Olympics now that you know how to get there. My goal with this channel is to get more biathlon content out there, so if you like biathlon and you like watching these videos, please feel free to hit the like button and subscribe so you are notified every time a new video comes out. And until next time, we'll see ya.